I sold my business in Sydney in 2019 and my wife and I always wanted to move back to New Zealand. Decided with the cash that we got from the sale of the business that we were going to buy a farm, which is the first farm really I've ever set foot on in my life. It became very obvious to me very early on, having experience in technology and experience in energy, that the best place to innovate on for farming in this country was energy. Electrification started by figuring out ways to generate energy on our farm through a solar and battery system, and then using that energy as much as we possibly could in some of the machines that we had. The economics worked out to be way better than I thought they would, and it wasn't long before we were expanding our solar system and ended up with 21 electric machines on farm. Now we're the first fully electric farm, I think, in the world. So when I started to do these numbers, how much it would cost to run a diesel machine over its lifetime plus the capital cost, but how much it would cost to run an electric machine from the grid, and one step further, how much would it cost to run an electric machine through energy that I can generate myself on farm, in every circumstance, it worked out to buy the electric machine. And it wasn't too long before we had BNZ's support to bank a lot of what we wanted to do to, I guess, deliver on our dreams, which is a fully electric, full production orchard, which is happening this year.
So transitioning to a low emissions, resilient and sustainable business model is just good business. We're really committed to ensuring that we serve our customers brilliantly, and helping them to grow great businesses means that we grow with them.
The number one thing here from this whole journey is we're swapping out fuels for finance, and so what we're doing is finding ways of making it so that finance is cheaper than continuing to spend money on the energy that we would have been using.
We have financial products like our Green Loan, which enables us to support customers to build a more resilient and regenerative business model. And we have a network of bankers nationally whose job it is to make sure that they understand how our customers need to build their businesses for the future, and that they have access to the capital that they need to do that.
I first connected with Mike and Rebecca of Forest Lodge about 3 years ago when I took over from a previous agri partner. One key difference I find with BNZ is the BNZ Partners model, which in a situation like this, it takes various different specialists from different parts of the bank to come together to fulfil the needs and requirements of a client like this, and helps the business to grow.
So we use a non-traditional growing system called UFO. Rather than growing trees in an upright with a 3D canopy system, we instead grow 2D. We're actually able to get about 15% more light, and anyone who's in horticulture knows that light is the most important thing. It costs more money up front to establish this way, but on the other side, the operational costs come down dramatically. Everything is uniform, and that just brings down the cost of labour really significantly. We expect that we will get about 50 to 100% more cherries per hectare than other forms of traditional growing systems. At full production, which will happen this year for the first time, we're expecting somewhere between 80 to 100 tonnes of cherries, which is about 10 million cherries that will be picked off these trees and taken out the gate and sent off into the big wide world.
Mike often thinks outside the square, so we have to do the same thing to get the right solution for them. And I suppose a classic example of that is the solar array, which isn't typically something we'd be able to fund under BNZ Asset Finance, but we've come up with a bespoke solution for that, which has fulfilled Forest Lodge's needs, but also our needs as well.
One of the hardest and most rewarding things about being the first is we had to source technology from all over the world. We started off by replacing the diesel irrigation system that came with this farm. We then put solar on the roof to then run the new electric irrigation system. Then we bought these things, these electric golf carts, which were actually not that capital intensive, but just for so many reasons are so much better than a petrol quad bike or something to that effect. And then, long story short, ended up buying New Zealand's first electric frost fighting fans. We ended up buying New Zealand's first fully commercial electric tractor. And then we upgraded our solar and battery system again, all with the support of BNZ essentially.
Aside from Mike and his team's real commitment and passion for the work that they're doing, is how they're demonstrating it for others rather than just talking about it. And I know that he's very mindful of the fact that the value of the work he's doing is compounded when others take it up. And ultimately that idea that he's trying to bring something to the community and to the country, I think is what's most inspiring.
We have had an energy system in New Zealand that has not kept up with New Zealanders' requirements. There is a real opportunity now, I feel, for farmers to come in and fill that void, use some of the land that we have to generate, to store electricity and to push it back to the grid when everybody else in New Zealand needs it. makes us more resilient because we have a new revenue stream, but most importantly, farmers are actually going to help the rest of New Zealand decarbonise by driving down the cost of electricity for everybody.